Welcome along to the channel, guys, and welcome to another first ride video. I'm back at Barnstormer BMW in Alton, and they very kindly let me loose on the brand new F900 GS. Now this is a new bike from BMW. Obviously it's based on the F900R and the F900 XR, like the one over there, so it's that platform, but built for the new GS. This replaces the old 850 model. New suspension, uprated engine, 14 kilos lighter than the old 850. Sort of geared up for a bit more off-road, a bit more of a serious motorcycle, shall we say. So we're going to take this out for a little bit of a spin around the local countryside. So if you're interested in the new F900 GS, get yourself a cup of tea and chop C, roll the intro. Oh, it looks good, doesn't it? It does look good, doesn't it? So this is the so this one's in the trophy colours. Okay, this one also has, I think, the Enduro pack. Look at the twiddler on the back there. I like the look of that. So this has got the Enduro pack, which I think gives you the Showa suspension, slightly uprated, you know, titanium coated fork stanchions, 230mm of travel up front, 215 at the rear. Tubeless tyres on this one as well. I think the wheels might be slightly different. The bikes all come with the Acra can now. That's part of getting more power out of this engine, really, because this is now 105 horsepower. So, you know, it's broken the 100 horsepower mark. That's actually more than the old Africa Twin. 220 kilos fully fueled, 14.5 litre fuel tank now. So the fuel size has dropped by half a litre compared to the old 850 model, and the tank is now plastic to save weight, because this is 14 kilos lighter than the outgoing bike. Very sort of enduro-esque looking, isn't it? You know this thing's going to be pretty darn decent off-road. Bash plate on with the enduro pack, and also the M Sport chain as well. Anyway, let's just jump aboard. Jumping on, it's got a nice feel actually. It looks like quite a big bike. Actually, there's more bike in front of me than the R1300 GS. Actually, it's got more of a big bike feel. So I've just noticed this bike's got a little warning on there, and I think that's to do with the first service, because this is a new machine. It's only got 54 miles on it, so I'm going to have to be a little bit careful with it, but I think that is something to do with the first service, that little warning there. I'll have a play around to confirm. Riding position has been tweaked. This Enduro pack actually raises the handlebars a little bit, and I think it actually lowers the pegs a little bit. Yeah, and stood up, that's got a really nice feel to it. Sort of grip it, quite thin in the middle, gripping it with your thighs and your calves. Yeah, that you can tell this is a nice position for off-road. Very, I'm 6'2", and I even find this comfortable stood up on it. So I think BMW very much sort of made this a serious contender if you're one of those folk who likes to take their middleweight adventure bike off-road. Do people do that? Do people actually do that? Or was that just a marketing thing? I know some people do that, but it's quite nice on this bike. If you've no intention of going off-road, then you don't need the Enduro pack. So the Enduro pack's there if you want it, if you want to go off-road. The engine's been bored out a little bit. It's also got a different cylinder head, forged pistons, higher compression, so it's been tuned. It's been tuned basically. So 105 horsepower, 93 newton meters of torque, and even in 6th gear, look, there's a lot of drive. Shouldn't chug it too much. We are running it in. But there's a lot of drive from that engine. The seat feels quite thin. Like I say, this is the Enduro one, and I think maybe you get a different seat, but it's not particularly wide in the middle to keep the bike thin in the middle for going off-road. Like I say, the bars are really high on this. I think they're 14mm higher than the bars if you don't have the Enduro pack. But I'm finding this really comfortable. Very wide bars. I think they may be slightly wider as well on the Enduro pack. Nice little handguards with aluminium sort of fixings, properly sturdy handguards, none of these sort of wanging about ones, properly sturdy handguards. I think if you're going off-road you wouldn't have to upgrade any of that. It's all built just to take it, hit the dirt. Oh, loads of pull. Yeah, it's got loads of mid-range. Loads of mid-range. The peak torque figure is higher than what it used to be, you know, in the F900R. Oh, it's got a lovely pickup, about 4,000 revs. And the actual feel and the ride, I mean, even though this is set up for an enduro setup, it's got a very planted feel to the tarmac. Instills quite a lot of confidence. The suspension feels quite firm as well. I think if you're going to go off-road, you might want to, you know, loosen up the twiddlies a little bit, because it's got quite a sporty feel. It's not all wallowy. You go on the brakes, yeah, there's a bit of suspension dive, but it's not ridiculous amounts, you know. That mid-range, really nice. Yeah, front brake is actually very nice. There is a bit of suspension dive there, but it's got 230mm treble. There's bound to be, but it's got a really planted, sort of connected feeling. Considering this is got the enduro pack with a different suspension, it feels very nice on the road still. 6.5-inch TFT, typical. Yeah, looks like every other GS you might ride. A smaller screen, which is actually set quite forward, isn't it? That screen's quite a long way away from you. Yeah, the whole bike looks quite big and a long way away from you. You know, a tiny screen on it, because of course, you know, this is an off-road adventure bike, so you get a smaller screen. So that's the first upgrade, isn't it? Bigger screen if you want to do some decent distance. But yeah, it's got a really good pickup and drive, I think. Rear brake feels pretty good, so the front feels really quite nice. Not as sharp, you know, it's not really sharp. Again, you don't want stuff really sharp if you're going to be going off-road, do you? But yeah, it's got quite a nice bit of feel from it. Quick shifter blipper, of course. Gearbox is lovely, actually, really nice gearbox. I mean, this is, of course, you know, the cheaper version to the R1300. I say cheaper. This is still, you know, it still starts at £12,000. This bike, so it's not a cheap. You know, it's one of the more expensive middleweight adventure bikes by quite some margin. Then, of course, by the time you add what you want, I priced one up. Trophy paint scheme, which I think is an extra 450 quid. The dynamic pack, which will give you the quick shifter blipper. You know, not the enduro pack, because if I was pricing these up, I wouldn't have the enduro pack. And that came to about 14 with everything you're really going to want. So you're talking about £14,000 for a bike which is spec'd up to where you're going to really want it in the real world. All the bikes come with the Akropovich. A bit quiet, doesn't sound. They never do those street Akropoviches. But it's got a nice sound to it, you know. Cross-plate engine. Morning. That's when you want the quiet exhaust. Yeah, it's very, very nice. I can tell straight away. It's very, very nice. It feels a bit more sporty than I'd say the V-Strom. The V-Strom is a softer machine. This feels a bit more sporty, a little bit more edgy even. It feels bigger than the Tenere. Physically it is bigger than the Tenere, and it feels like it's a bigger bike in front of you, obviously more power than the Tenere. The seat, even though it's not very wide, it's quite, I think it's quite squishy foam. Yeah, it's got quite a lot of foam, quite squishy there. Feels nice. It's sort of moulded a little bit to your arse as well. I keep not using the quick shifter blipper because I'm used to riding the Tenere. I've got used to not using the quick shifter blipper. Yeah, it's fast. It's a fast bike. You don't need any more than that. That's pretty darn quick, actually. 105 horsepower. I mean, that's more than the Africa Twin. I know 2024 version's got more, but that's more power than the Africa Twin. A 900cc bike. Yeah, when the speed picks up, it's got a sporty feel. Actually, you could hustle this. You could hustle this around some twisties. Feels a bit like the R1300 from that respect. You know, made their bikes, their adventure bikes, much more dynamic, and that's sort of coming across on here. Actually, I like the feel to this. I think you can push this harder on the road than what you can the Tenere and the V-Strom. Yeah, you've got plenty of support when you go on the brakes. There's not masses of weight transfer, which is what I'm really surprised about. What with this being stay there, this being the Enduro packed version. Hang on, should we do a little bit of gravel? I can't help myself. We've got the Enduro pack. Let's just try a little bit of standing up, shall we? On the mucky stuff. Yeah, it's very nice to stand up on. I like the feel of that. I don't want to go any worse than this because, as I say, this is Barnstormer's brand new demo. I don't want to risk slipping off, but I can tell that that's really nice. It's also got the old foot rear brake, which you can flip the round, flip the pedal around to raise the brake a bit, so you can get to the brake easier when you stood up. Yeah, that's nice. I feel like I could tackle some off-road on this bad boy, that's for sure. So there she is. I think you will agree that it's a handsome looking bike now. I think probably one of the best looking middleweight adventure bikes. I mean, the whole bike's been redesigned. It's now got the new headlight. The headlight looks nice in there as well. I like the blacked out screen, handguards. So starting at the front end, Brembo brakes now, listed as Brembo, and these with the Enduro pack, you get the black stanchions, the titanium tin coating on the stanchions. Always looks nice, and then the gold Showa suspension there. Steering damper also nestled under there. You can get options for like the Headlight Pro and all that sort of stuff. I'm not sure this one. As usual, you can spec this bike up as far as you want to go. A really nice little feature on bikes you are going to go off-road on is the adjustable footrest. The Tiger 900's got this, where you flip that round, it raises the position of the footrest. And I thought that might get in the way a bit, but I'm not noticing that little vertical bit. So yeah, that seems to work quite well. Fully adjustable suspension. We have nice gold clickers on the back there. New subframe on this bike. That's saved quite a lot of weight, that new subframe. And I think this must be the Enduro seat as well. I'm not sure that's seat standard or not. A Kropovich end can on all the bikes now, so that Kropovich comes standard. It's quite big, isn't it? It's quite big, but I think they've got the angle quite nice on that. I don't mind that. That looks all right. Obviously, it helps to save a bit of weight as well when you're chucking the Kropovich on as standard. As you can see, quite a slim machine. So quite slim in the middle. Again, all to do with your off-roading, that, isn't it? And then you've got a little, I quite like the neat little back end actually. It's quite a neat, tidy little back end. I don't know how you get on with luggage. There doesn't seem to be any luggage mounting positions on there, so I don't know what the luggage situation is. Nice little remote preload adjuster. Let's wind it up to fatty spec, put a bit more in there, but there's loads of support, even as it was. Lovely little aluminium side stand, adjustable knobble on the end of the gear lever as well, so you can move that around, which is quite a nice little feature, isn't it? Without having to mess with any of the quick shifter elements, you can adjust your foot position. I like that. Switch gears, your usual sort of BMW affair really. This won't be illuminated, as they're not, this switch gear. This one's got the SOS button and all of that. Fully adjustable up top with the forks as well, quite nice on that one. Let's give it a click. I do like these handguards. Proper sturdy handguard. A lot of the adventure bikes are just have like a flimsy handguard. I think this must be something to do with the Enduro pack again, but I do like those. That's proper handguard time. Dash is pretty standard GS dash really. Looks exactly the same to me as what was on the R1300. So yeah, really nice dash. Still the best dash in the business. Is that screen adjustable? I don't think there's any adjustment on the screen. That's it's just really a little Enduro screen, that, isn't it? But there we go. The new F900 GS. I think you agree. A really handsome looking bike. Let's jump back on. You can have electronic suspension and all that as well if you want. You know, this, like I say, with the Enduro pack, of course, I don't think you can have electronic suspension. You get the manual stuff, but you know, you can go electronic if that's your bag. Gearbox is lovely. Quick shifter blipper. It's got a real firm, look at the wind coming through there. It's proper blustery today. But it's got a real positive sort of feel to the gearbox. Yeah, really nice the way it clicks into gear there. Brilliant quick shifter blipper. One of those systems I think you can use in all scenarios. Yeah, and surprisingly sporty suspension. I'm really surprised. You know, I can feel exactly what the vibrations coming through from the tarmac. Be interesting to try it actually without this Enduro kit to see if you still get as much feedback and feel as this. Ooh, which way should we go? I mean, these are the sorts of lanes, these are the sort of terrain, isn't it, for these sort of adventure bikes, just when you're out exploring. I think also with the dynamic pack which this has got, you get the cornering ABS, you also get adjustable brake control as well, and you get the additional modes, because standard you only get road or rain. On this one you've got the whole host of modes, including the dynamic and the enduro and all that. Woo! Oh, this is really good, this is really nice. Yeah, BMW have done it again. I think they've done it again. I don't feel like I need more power, you know. I think these middleweight adventure bikes are really where it's at, you know, with this sort of low weight, around that 220 sort of weight is perfect, isn't it? That's like the perfect weight for these bikes. Any more than that, and they just become a bit unmanageable when you're pushing them around, when you're trying to live with them. Although when you're riding them, as soon as you're rolling, it's fine, but it's living with that weight, just pushing it, isn't it? It's a proper fun, proper fun little scratch of this. You can come out and have some proper blatting fun on this. This is really good. I never thought it would be. I thought it was going to be, you know, geared up very much as an off-road bike, and because of that, the road manners would suffer. But absolutely not. Absolutely not. It is a little bit stiffer, and say not as plush as, I say, the V-Strom. So maybe if you're thinking of doing big miles on the road, then maybe that sort of firmness and sportiness would become a bit too much on a longer trip. But I'd like to try one without this Enduro pack to see if it brings it's a little bit softer then, or whether it's still as firm and sporty as this. I like that. I like that a lot. I like it. I'd buy that for $1. Cruise control? It doesn't have cruise control, this one. That must be an option. Surely cruise control's an option. I can't see any cruise control, which is unusual. You've got the button to turn everything off, your wheelie button, turn it back on again. But yeah, there's no cruise on this. Heated grips, absolute must, and they're on level 3 and they're really hot. BMW heated grips are very nice, absolutely needed in the British winter. But yeah, no cruise. I would imagine cruise is an option, but I can't say for sure. The vibrations from the engine are actually really nice. You can't really notice sort of much vibes at all. Obviously it's cross-plane. They've got dual balancing shafts in the engine. You can feel a little bit, you know, cross-plane engines, they do have character, but they have, you know, a few little vibrations to them. But this is fine, you know, I'm getting nothing through the seat, tiny amount through the footpegs, absolutely tiny amount, and a little bit through the bars, but really not very much. Perfect, nothing to complain about there at all. Feels like quite a refined engine. You know, I think before, I think this is a Chinese built engine if I'm not wrong, which they've developed here, and before it felt a little bit raw, a little bit unrefined. I think with the work they've done on it, it's definitely feeling, I think, a little bit more refined now. Yeah, it's turning into a really nice power plant. So I must say a massive thank you to Barnstormer BMW for letting me loose on their brand new demo. Really appreciate it. I'll put links to Barnstormer below. Don't forget to go check them out. So there we go, a very, very quick ride on the F900 GS. First impressions, it's really impressive. Much more sporty than I thought it was going to be. Beautiful engine. Now putting out decent power levels, you know, very, very decent power levels. I will borrow this again when BMW UK have their fleet of bikes, and we'll borrow it for a couple of weeks, take it on a long run, see if that sportiness does become a bit more uncomfortable on a longer trip. That's going to be the test, I think. And we will of course also do a comparison with this with its rivals, the other sort of off-roady focused middleweight adventure bike. So if you're interested in that though, you're going to have to subscribe, so subscribe below, and I'll see you in the next one. Cheers guys. Very, very nice. Thank you, Barnstormer.